almost touching afternoon, so that kind of time you don't know what to say, right? Good afternoon, good morning, whatever. So look, I saw the topics which were there, and I will take you back to a very bland topic actually, right? And a lot of innovation is thought of as AI, as machine learning, big data, all kinds of things which are happening around us in technology, right? And those are all transformational changes. So we embrace them and we go along. But the world I live in, and the world I've embraced for the last 1 year fully, and maybe even before that for 3-4 years, I fundamentally believe that there's one unit which is driving all the change that we see as a byproduct. So we'll talk about kitchens today, and we'll talk about the home kitchen, not the restaurant kitchen or the industrial kitchens or the cloud kitchens. And I think it is the relationship with the kitchen which is driving massive changes and creating massive opportunities and discontinuities all over India and globally. So it will be a pretty mundane topic. I'll take you back to the chula and the tawa and all kinds of those things. So what is happening in kitchens in India? That's a good question to ask, because the standard answer can be nothing much. It is the same that it used to be like 5 years back or 10 years back or 20 years back. And I think that's a very general way of thinking about this. And I personally think kitchens in India are transforming at a rate which will cause massive ripple effects and opportunities and income for everyone. Let me illustrate. So the relationship with the kitchen is always go back to Ma. I know this may sound a little bit gender biased in this particular statement, but it's true. All of us, the maa ke haath ka khana, I have never heard anybody say ki papa ke haath ka khana, right? That's true. None of us say that. Even if the dad cooks, it's called maa ke haath ka khana, right? And the maa ke haath ka khana has been a source of deep emotional connect, deep comfort. When we talk comfort food, we say maa ke haath ka khana. वो खिचड़ी, वही वाली दाल, वही वाली पराठे, वो हमारी वाली चाय जो घर पे जैसे बनती है, बाहर ऐसी चाय नहीं बनती. All these statements are part of growing up, part of folklore, and part of almost identity. Like especially women and mothers drew a large part of their identity from the pleasure of cooking. To the extent that sometimes when we didn't like the food at home, we say, Mama, acha bana hai. Right? Because that makes our day. And we like it and we really like it and we ask for extra helpings. That really, really makes our day. So the one index in which she rated, what's happening in the kitchen in the house was second and third helpings were taken or not. Right? So the extra inches around us have a little bit of throwback to those conversations on the dining table when love was measured in terms of extra helpings, right? Now that is changing. That is changing in parts of India at rapid pace. That is changing in parts of India at a much slower pace. So let me take the slower pace first. And as part of my job, one thing which fascinates me is traveling to multiple cities, because India में हर coast पे बानी और खाना दोनों change होता है. So if you go to the tier 4, tier 3 towns, and these are for some of you imaginary places, for me it's real, I go there, right? I encourage you all to travel a lot more and experience these places. The relationship is very tense with the kitchen. Because in some sense, it is seen as still a source of what the women should do, right? As well as the woman herself is transforming there. She's taking up a job. She was running a small business on the side. The kids who have grown up have left, so there's no one to cook for. Except sometimes the grumpy husband who still complains about the dal mein namak zyada hai, right? And that's not fun anymore. Women, I think, look probably in that love cooking for their kids most, and their husbands next sometimes, right? And there it is changing in small parts to say, अच्छा रोटी घर पे बनाते हैं, कुछ अच्छा बाहर से मंगा लेते हैं. In Karwa Chauth, the way the family is adjusting and paying back in a way saying कि आज तो cooking मत करो, छोड़ दो. Let's not cook today, right? Let's go out and eat, right? So it's changing in small measures. Yeah, some guests are coming home. Let's order something good today, which is almost becomes a tension point because the immediate conversation is, do you mean I don't cook good food at home? No, you do, right? It's just like, in addition to your good food, can we get more good food, right? So it's in different dialects, different languages, but the conversation is changing slowly and opening up possibilities for businesses to deliver food home or to create dining experiences. I was with the CEO of a large pizza chain some time back, and he was mentioning that in one of the very small towns in Bihar, that pizza outlet which they've opened is not just a pizza outlet, it is an entertainment destination. We'll never think of that like that in Gurgaon or Delhi or Chennai. But it is the entertainment destination. When you go out for entertainment, it's either the cinema or that pizza shop, which has seen more birthdays, Karwa Chauth evening outs and everything more than anything else. So it's in that part of India is changing. It changes slow. The change is happening. It is below the surface. It is still a lot of tension a little bit because the formal role of the kitchen is changing. Let's contrast that with the most urban part of what I call the city which is closest moving towards a very global kind of a mindset, circumstances, behavior is Bangalore. And a little bit like Gurgaon also. I think parts of Gurgaon, anywhere there's a large migrant population and enterprise and technology, this confluence happens, you see the fastest pace of change, right? There, at one extreme, there are families where the kitchen has stopped. It doesn't exist except Sundays, right? Cooking is a hobby. Cooking is when I want to be creative. Or if the kitchen has not stopped, it has at least stopped for the members of the family. There's a cook who's doing it, right? And it is completely okay. I know people who order in or eat out combined at least 2 meals a day. So there the world has moved towards already a Singapore kind of situation a little bit in parts of that geography. In Singapore, typically cooking in a kitchen is a Sunday activity. In fact, I worked in Singapore for 2 years, and it was fascinating for me that some of my team members, after leaving office, will actually individually buy their food at these massive local food markets and take it home. And 3 of them will take it and eat it together on the dining table. It's not cooked at home. There are these small stalls there. So there's a revolution happening in Bangalore which looks like that. Because guess what? I think the formal role of who drives the kitchen has changed. I think it's much more equal between men and women. I think there is in parts like, for example, we insist on both our boy and the girl learning cooking not because we think it's, but they'll go out and live in a hostel someday and they better know how to cook and survive, especially we are vegetarians, so it becomes even more imperative, right? So there's parts like that is changing. There's a Sunday phenomena where so in Bangalore, no cook comes on Sunday. You can pay them what you want. They're very clear. They don't come. And it shows up in our delivery volumes, right? Because guess what? They still aren't going back to the kitchen and cooking because time is the currency. And the time is used for experiences. It is Netflix. It could be a pub event, it could be a book reading, it could be something else. People truly are choosing to live a life which is very different because they have the money and they want the money to not just drive asset creation, but they want to fulfill and maximize experiences, which by the way is leading to the onset of the midlife crisis much earlier, because by 35 you've done everything on what do you do? And there are opportunities which get created by midlife crisis as well. Industries come out of midlife crises for people. Running is one example, right? So that's one part. I think if you look at groceries, what is happening? Okay, So how was kitchen groceries procured earlier? Like even fast, just go back 5 years. Somebody will give a long list, right? And then on typically a Sunday morning, you'll go and that was a full activity of completing that list. And by the time you come home, the frustrating thing happens where you're told again, अच्छा वो 3 चीजें miss हो गई थी, right? हल्दी डालना भूल गए थे list में. And you like curse and say, now you'll make me go back all the way again, and this is not done, next time I won't do it, this time is fine, but this happens every time, very upset, and you go back again if you want to be in a good space with the family, right? And you get this whole thing, and then you can isko rakhein kahan, okay? Then you have these large, dabbas and all kinds of storage devices in which some things will expire, you won't even know. And the curious, the fridge. So we are whatever money we earn, I think in a wonderful way, the middle class scrappy mentality never grows up. So we save our katori of dal, we save our leftover chutney, all small bowls, which gets into different parts of the kitchen, and we realize 1 month later nobody actually touched it, and we throw it after 1 month. We don't throw it on the spot, right? Because किसी दिन तो काम आ सकती है, वो जिस दिन खाना बनेगा उस टाइप का उस दिन ये चटनी काम आ जाएगी, right? So kitchens, our fridges used to be a mess. So like if you want to understand how organized a person or family is, open the fridge and see what's happening there. And women had all kinds of rights in the fridge, right? Especially like मटर freeze करके गर्मियों में रख देंगे, आपको ice नहीं रख सकते जगह, ice के लिए कुछ और देखो आप जाके, right? So these battles continued. But today, well, guess what? Fridges are getting emptier. In urban India, metro India, I predict the sale of last aisle fridges will be only an act of vanity and not need, right? Simply because fridge was a storage of freshness as well. And today in a quick commerce world, a fascinating conversation with my mother-in-law, I said, what should I order? She said, don't order too much. Anyway, whatever you need, you can come in 10 minutes. So why order so much? And the notion that you can get fresh on demand, anything, is transforming the way things happen. And I give you a real story, my personal story. We were Sunday morning, we were sitting at home, so we are eggetarians technically. We give the kids eggs because they are sports people, they need some protein, we couldn't figure out anything else, right? And there was some omelette being cooked, and my son said, I need one more, mama. And my wife said, eggs are finishing. I said, don't worry, you make it. And by the time she was finishing it, there was the guy with six eggs was standing on the door. Because I ordered on Instamart, and before the next omelette was cooked, the next set of eggs had arrived. This is how fast the supply chain can work today. And it's a true story, and it happens in many households every day. Those of you use it, you know it, that you can, and it removes cognitive load. It removes that thing of कि हल्दी भूल गए तो फिर मंगा लो. क्या फर्क पड़ता है, right? I think if you look at kitchens, we are making kitchens which are far larger than we need today because we don't need that much storage. We have fridges which are larger. Now these will have transformative impacts on how people behave and do, right? So in urban India, I predict, given women's participation in employment, and the reason I go back to women is because the major transformation in a positive, beautiful way is happening with how urban, metro women are thinking about themselves and their identities. I personally believe liberating themselves from the identity of a kitchen, a mother, and as an individual is a very powerful concept, right? And I don't see it as a bad thing at all. In fact, my job is not to sit in judgment on any trend. My job is to observe it and make people's life convenient around it. But that powerful change which is happening in identities is reshaping the kitchen, is reshaping industries after industries. So how many industries does it touch? Grocery, one of the largest categories you can think of. Fruits and vegetables, another massively large category you can think of. Food, delivery plus dine out. Now, just as a mental math, register these numbers with you. We, as a human being, except those who are on intermittent diet or keto, which is a small part of the population, like really a fraction, we consume about 105 meals a month. How do I come to the number? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3. 3 into 30, 90. And snacks, kabhi man karta hai, kabhi nahi karta hai. So 15. Okay? So 105. In India, even in high consumption cohorts, the people who dine out or order in, that number is 7 to 8 a month. On an average, exceptions apart. In some of the Western markets, that number is north of 40. Right? Just to give you a sense, China, the largest delivery player, does about 7x the volume of the entire delivery ecosystem in India, daily. Right? That's where how large things can become. But I rest my point that those things are not happening because somebody introduced a tech, somebody used AI. Of course, that facilitates it. Like if Google Maps was not born, anything which is based on location delivery was not possible. Right? So there are massive fundamental infra tech which gets created and businesses ride on top of that, right? But a lot of this is getting its inspiration, impetus, power, challenges, opportunities from a place which is sacred in every Indian household. That's the chula, that's the kitchen. So understanding what happens in the kitchen is an unlock to understanding what's happening in India. Thank you.